Alright, so I just read the golem spawning requirements as far as the mechanics go, and there's nothing that makes a zombie more likely to summon, or, there's nothing that makes a villager more likely to summon a golem. If you scare him with a zombie. In this design, because I use 5 villagers to gossip, and because each cluster of 5 villagers is outside of the range to detect if any of the other clusters have summoned a zombie or summoned a golem, it summons roughly about 9 golems every 30 seconds. So adding a zombie wouldn't help anything. The only reason to use a zombie to make them panic is if you don't want to use 5 villagers. And since the spawning mechanics for golems are different between Bedrock and Java, and since this is Java, I don't have to add a zombie. And it would just be a waste of my time because it wouldn't make it generate any more iron. Because the same things that are causing them to passively spawn the golem, I mean, over time they're gonna spawn a golem anyway. And you aren't saving that. You aren't saving any time by, like, trying to force a golem spawn with a zombie. Because it's still limited by the 30 seconds. They're not going to spawn one in more than 30 seconds anyway, so, and since the golems aren't within the detectable range of any of the pads within the 30 seconds, like, it doesn't take 30 seconds for a golem to go from this pad to the collector down to the bottom. It doesn't take 30 seconds from any of the points on here. So by the time the next detection period of 30 seconds between the groups of 5 villagers independently is up, they just summon another golem just by gossiping. So no, adding a zombie will not make it go any faster. There's nothing in the mechanics on the villager page that says adding a zombie would make it go faster. There's nothing in the golem summoning page that would make adding a zombie make it go any faster. And there's a relative downside to adding a zombie when you don't need a zombie is, from what I've seen, like, not only do you have to add a timer for the zombie, you have to add more materials for the zombie, to build the zombie minecart. It's either that or you try to park a zombie next to where the villagers are and hide the zombie or show the zombie. That's all extra work for no benefit, because everything is still limited by that 30-second range anyway, so, and I mean, just by eyeballing it, I can see that it's spawning right around the 9 golems, 1 golem per each pad, within 30 seconds. So no, don't need to add a zombie. All because I used 5 villagers with 5 beds. The only thing that is somewhat of a loss is like when it gets to be nighttime, and if you don't jump into the bed right away, because they're in a bed and they won't summon golems when they're sleeping. But I mean, since it's just me in the world, then I usually jump in the bed anyway, unless I'm in the nether or unless I'm mining someplace. But I mean, I already have so much iron. But no, based on what the mechanics are telling me, and I sat there and like thought about it and looked for any other reason to add a zombie. There's no reason to add a zombie if you use 5 villagers and you space them like this. Nope. No reason to do so. On the off chance that this one summons a golem, and the timer for this one, they just summoned a golem, but they're detecting this golem, I mean, it averages out to where it's still 9 golems every 30 seconds. Because they try to spawn a golem when they're gossiping anyway. And I mean, any of the pads that are like this pad couldn't possibly detect anything on this side. This pad couldn't possibly detect anything on this side. This one can't possibly detect anything over here. So no, I don't have to add a zombie. I was just adding a zombie because it seemed like everybody else added a zombie. Anytime I thought of an iron golem farm, like, you gotta scare a zombie, but no. And you don't really need, like, if you don't need a really crazy high volume of iron, you could just make one of these pads and put 5 villagers in the center and feed it to a lava blade. Because all this thing is just that one design. This is the functional part right here, is the 5 villagers on this pad. The way that it's measured out. That's what makes it function. And it's just that times 9. And again, I've never built an iron golem farm before. Even going all the way back when you had to have valid doors for villagers, which is like 12 years ago. It was a long freaking time. So, and I checked that too, and both the average and the mean values of how many ingots one golem drops when it dies is 4. So if you just use that average, this thing should generate 7.5 stacks of 64 blocks of iron every hour. Yeah, I'm gonna have to add a few boxes to the collector. Like, I mean, just look at it. Like, there's no reason to add a zombie, because adding a zombie doesn't make it go any faster. And the other downside of adding the zombie is if you don't get your timers right, you can scare the villagers to death to where they'll despawn, because I've already seen that happen. And with as many golems as I've got running around this village and the outside of the village, I mean, like, I've got more, like, most of the golems out here are in the way. There's just so many of them. But see, as soon as it gets to be nighttime and they jump in the bed, it shuts down for a little bit until you jump into the... But I mean, since this is already more iron than you could possibly use for anything, unless you're like building a castle made out of iron blocks. Or building a castle built out of, like, you know, building the Emerald City or something. Like, there's not anything in the mechanics that makes they go any faster than 30 seconds. The only thing that makes it go faster is repeating that pattern with the 5 villagers up there. Like, if I needed more iron, I'd have to build more spawn pads. And I know I said I was gonna add a zombie anyway, but that was before I, like, double and triple and quadruple checked the mechanics. It's not gonna do me any good. Well, you won't know until you try. No, I will know before I try, because it's still limited by the 30 seconds. And I mean, it also has the potential to cause more spawns to happen on the leading edge of the 30-second timer, to where there's a potential overlap to where it could make a spawn pad wait for the other 30 seconds, but this automatically self-regulates whenever it's going to spawn a golem, because they aren't within the area for the 30 seconds anyway. I need to get some steak. Well, now what do I do? I guess trade that iron in over there for, what's this called? Oh, I guess still gotta build my sorter, is what I gotta do. And every time I mention the sorter, I gotta say the same thing I always say, is I did not design that sorter. It's the one that uses the hopper pipe that goes along the top with an individual hopper that has 18 of each thing in it. I did not design it, it's somebody else's, but I don't know who. If I did know who, and if anybody knows whose design it is, I would totally give that person credit, because it's an awesome design. And then there's that, is like, because of the way that mechanics work, I mean, there's only so many solutions to a thing. So it is possible to end up with a go-to design, in the sense that the mechanics won't allow it to work any other way. So I would have to say that the sorter design that I use, which I did not come up with, if I did sit there for long enough, you would end up with the same design anyway, because that's just what the mechanics say would function. Like, and the brown spot has turned into a blue spot. Which, some of it gets lost in translation when you make this comparison, but it's square peg, square hole. I mean, it's like a key has certain teeth heights on it as you go across the key to, depress the pins in the lock, because it allows it to open. I mean, like, that does look cool though. Now it looks like I've got a water-cooled processor. I guess this would be closer to like the memory sticks. I used to think of the... But yeah. The Jeep. It's just not updating yet. I mean, I know the sugar farm. Why is the sugar farm not grown yet? Oh, I know why. It's because where I've been the whole time is on the edge of where my simulation distance is. So right here, from where I was working and being over there in the village, is on the edge of where the, how many chunks I've got it set to. 8 chunks. And I knew it wasn't grown because, like, you see the dark green sections? That just turned into a light green section. But yeah, to simplify, adding a zombie is not going to help any, because even with a zombie, they're still limited by the 30-second successful spawn detection. The fishy fish. The kitty cat. Meow. And I mean, I'm sure somebody, because of the nature of, you know, the square block, square hole thing, and mechanics determine what's going to work, which determines the way that stuff is designed, which determines the way that stuff looks based on, you know, form follows function. Someone else must have come up with the same design. A zombie-less passive golem spawner. But nope. I sat here and, you know, 60 videos later, I finally got it working. Which, the figuring out how to make it work took less time than putting the actual blocks in. But, yeah. The inverted sky temple. So now what do I do? What kind of blocks do I want to build this out of? I really like these blocks, but I don't know how much junk I've got. Yeah, I have no cobbled deep slate at all. Can I just turn this into tiles? I cannot. So between that and cobbled deep slate, you have to... This is better because you don't have to cook it into stone. I'm pretty sure I've said that before. So the reason for me mentioning the form follows function thing, that whole blurb, was I'm sure there must be somebody else that has come up with this design, but I'm unaware of if they have or not. I came up with this on my own, but it's kind of like the dirt house thing. I mean, you know, building a 3x3 dirt house with a door on it. You know, because of the mechanics in the game, I mean, other people must have come up with the same idea, like. But as far as the sorter goes, I did not come up with the sorter. But because of how well that it functions based on the individual mechanics of all the blocks, of the redstone and everything else, I can't think of a more optimal sorter. Which, when I build it, people are going to be like, oh, it's that one. So if anybody knows whose it is, or who's been credited for it, like, I would totally give that person credit for it because I didn't come up with it. I was lazy and I just looked up a video. And the reason that I mention that is if I'm using someone else's design, I will say so. But if I came up with something on my own, and in the event that it resembles somebody else's thing, I mean, I have no reason to lie about it. And I would totally be honest about it. Is the reason that that I'm trying to emphasize that. Like this menagerie here is mine. And this here, as simple as it is and as effective as it is, I mean, I didn't copy anybody else for this either. This is the same design that I used to use, only horizontal or vertical instead of horizontal, to make to generate flowers and generate grass seed. Like, if you take this same section but lay it over flat and then hook it up to a timer so one side turns on and the other side turns on, so but it shifts grass blocks back and forth, you can stand there with bone meal and generate flowers. Which I should probably have one of those anyway, because I've got shepherds that use dye. But you know, I think I'm going to build that. I don't really need it, but I've got the space over here. I don't really plan on expanding my potion machine any, because this is just the semi-auto manual version, just right close by the base. If I had some reason to generate massive amounts of potions, you know, I would build the fully automatic version. But I don't. I mean, I have no reason to have that many potions beyond what I'm gonna drink or store beyond like a box of them. Because I'm pretty sure you can't sell potions to anybody. At least not on a solo world. Jeeps. What am I gonna do with all those cocoa beans? Still don't know what to do with these. And all that scaffolding that I built and didn't end up using. Which I do gotta clear all this stuff out of here. Go put it back in the main builder box, main storage section. Ah, crap, I didn't mean to take that over there. Over here. Oh, well. I'll just look for it later, I guess. So I am gonna need some iron. Well, first let me build that thing. How did I do this? It's been a long time since I built one of these. think that is what makes it work. No. I can't remember how this works. I mean, I know there's a way to get pistons to fire independently with the same circuit using 2 redstone torches. I think that's how it's supposed to work. This doesn't have to be over here. And I think because of the nature of the way that the redstone torches work, it'll alternate it because one torch takes priority. Which, that's the same way that the T flip-flop works. But apparently no. Crap. I can't remember how I did this. I know it used to work. Does it have to be one tick off on this side? Yeah, I don't remember how I did this. Yeah, like it used to work really well. Like you could just hook up the one timer and it used to go. Because it used to alternate automatically. I mean, like, just so, you know, you don't think that I'm crazy, like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you could put a redstone torch here, and this is how you make a T flip-flop. Like, where's my pistons? I only have the 6. So yeah, like, so I think that this has to be positioned over top of each one of those. I guess it has to be linked. And it's because of how redstone registers that it causes it to alternate with the same, oops, with the same circuit. Like, well, it already turned to grass. So you could just turn on the timer and stand there. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to spread it apart farther. I know that I am. Oh. See? It's something about the way that this is connected, because this is either going to power the piston, or the redstone's going to power the piston. Or the, not the power the piston, but this causes it to alternate. Like, I mean, I'm doing a terrible, terrible job of explaining why it works, but one side takes precedence over the other side, is the way that it works. And it's because of the nature of how redstone works at all that it does what it does. It's a little too close to that side. I mean, I guess I don't have to have it be that high, like, because I just need to stand. Oops. And then if I hook the timer up to this section, like, I just need to stand here with bone meal, and it'll grow flowers, and automatically harvest the flowers, is what this machine does. And do I really want to put the switch on the ground? I mean, I guess I probably should. And put it over here. I'll let those turn into grass blocks. So I don't think you can turn a dirt block into a grass block with bone meal. Which, you can do the same thing to harvest mushrooms. I just thought about that. You can make the same thing in nether. Excuse me. Out of these things, and just stand there with bone meal, turn the timer on. And it's not free and it's not infinite, it's based on how many, you know, how much bone meal you've got. So I was about to say, oh, well, it's just a free infinite bone meal generator, or flour generator. I was like, no, it's based on how much bone meal you've got. Oh, damn it. Is it messed up now? Because that shouldn't be extended like that. And now it's stuck. I had it and I messed it up because of the efficiency 5 thing. It shouldn't be receiving power anymore. Oh, but it is because of this thing. Okay. So this should be like that. Come on, grass block. So all these should be extended. There should be no gaps in the dirt. Could probably put some amount of these sticks back. I'm gonna have to turn them into torches to make repeaters and comparators for my sorter. Which I might have to go get redstone. I mean, this might not be enough to build my sorter. But it's not my design, it's the design that I use because it's the best design I can think of, like, or the best design that I've found. And I say that because of the mechanics. Like that whole speech all over again, all that thing. That thing. Oh, bone meal. Like, what did I do with all my bone meal? The Dandelino, which appears bone meal goes a little farther than it used to. Like the bone meal came all the way out here. Which I'm probably gonna have to move this to optimize it. Kablestane. The Jacolin turn. I wonder if I can make it work that way. Then I get extra grass blocks out of it. If it does work like that. If I put the torches on this side. I mean, I could even probably bring it to like 12 blocks wide, but like I don't think that the grass goes that far. I mean, I'm probably mismeasuring where the grass should go. And I'm pretty sure that I remember from standing on top of it, you will, you'll get, like, pinched when the grass block moves. So, turn it into grass already. But yeah, the inherent way that redstone functions is it'll decide that one torch turns on before the other torch does. Every time, so which allows the piston, because of one piston being able to push and the other piston not being able to push. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. I just have too much junk in my inventory. It's all going to be stuff for the project, for the sorter. Now I'm going to need a bunch of hoppers. I know I'm going to need a bunch of boxes. Plus I'm going to need a bunch of boxes just for storage anyway. Come on, turn into a grass block. Any second now. Any second now. Yeah, I need to make a silk touch shovel to harvest grass blocks for stuff like this. Like, I'm getting tired of waiting. I'm just gonna go grab a grass block. By the time I get back with the grass block to fix it, it's probably gonna have turned into a grass block. Or not, because I said so, right? And I guess it doesn't really have to go up above the thing. I mean, having it go up above it means I don't have to jump on it, but this should still work with it being on the ground. Should, maybe, possibly. And I think as long as it has the same ticks to it, it should cause it to operate the same. Like if I put a repeater here and a repeater here to ensure that the signal goes where I want the signal to go, then it shouldn't matter if it comes from the center block or not, because I kind of need this area to run over. So if I just put the timer going this way, or apparently not. And now I'm confused as to why it's not working. Is it the repeaters I added? Oh, I guess back to the drawing board. I don't think that this is the problem. It could just be... Oh, that's what it is right? I mean, this should be activating these torches. That's weird. It's trying to get an extra grass block out of it, but... for whatever reason, there's some weirdness here. I had it working the other way, but for whatever reason, it's not working this way. Yeah, good enough. Ta-da! And I gotta find an active beehive to then breed bees to place them in this, which for some reason I managed to find dead beehives. The very first beehive that I encountered when I joined the world, I made it a dead beehive, which I didn't think that I did that to the one over by the village that got raided where I got killed by the raid, but I guess that I did. But I'm fairly certain that you can do the same thing with bone meal and these mushrooms, or in this nycelium, this warped mycelium. You can build, I say pretty sure because it might not work for whatever reason, but I'm fairly certain that it should work with the growing the green mushrooms to feed the striders. So you don't have to sit there and manually harvest the bone meal or manually harvest the mushrooms. But yeah, I also don't really have a mighty need to harvest the green mushrooms, so I'm probably gonna wait to do that. I mean, if I need a bunch of the green mushrooms, and I'll probably do that, but probably build this in the nether with the nycelium, which I'm thinking about. Like, I don't know if you hit bone meal next to the nycelium, does it only grow? I'm not even sure if it works in the overworld. So I might be able to just put some nycelium. So if I do this, but if I do that, okay. So no, that answers that question. I mean, I guess, well, since it does work in the overworld, and I've already built this machine, I could probably put a piece of nycelium in this thing. And if I want to get nycelium out of it, I hit the nycelium block. And if I want to get flowers, so it's a combination machine. Yeah, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea. Where is my silk touch pickaxe? I'm gonna grab one of the nycelium blocks. Because it looks like the nycelium spreads over whatever block is surrounding it, even if it's a grass block, even in the overworld. But it won't, you know, like if you hit a grass block, it's not going to trigger the nycelium, but if you hit the nycelium, it's not going to trigger the grass block. No, that's pretty awesome. You can just stand there and, well, the other nice part is it's not glitchy like it used to be, because we're going back a long, long time when I say used to be. When I first used these, you couldn't stand on this moving block. Like your character would start jittering and like jumping and like end up clipping through the bottom of the block and like. No, but this means I could just stand here and do flowers, mushrooms, flowers, mushrooms, flowers, mushrooms, flowers, mushrooms. And I could probably even put one of the red nycelium blocks in there and have an all-in-one, like if I wanted to do, you know, grass block, and then that's pretty awesome. It's like an all-in-one generator machine. I don't know where there's any red nycelium that's close to where I'm at though, which I should probably add the red nycelium to this section too. But then there's that as they fight with each other, but it's only based on if they're closer to the other one. So if I put the red nycelium on this side, I'm not sure if does mycelium grow mushrooms? I mean, I could have like a 4-in-1 mushroom and grass seed and flower generator. This is turning out way better than way better than I thought it was going to. Like, because practically every one of these things has a relatively practical use. Like you need flowers to grow bees and to turn into dyes. Don't know what this is for. Don't know what warped roots do. I mean, I'm sure that they do something, but like now I've got a warped root farm too. Can you compost these? Probably. I mean, you can compost practically everything. Let's see. So, it's also a free bone meal generator. You turn bone meal into seeds and grass and flowers and the warped roots and mushrooms, and then any other junk that you don't want, you can turn back into bone meal to continue the process. So no, it's now an infinite flower bone meal generator. That's cool. I will probably forget. And I think that brown mushrooms and red mushrooms grow on mycelium. But yeah, I did practically a whole bunch of nothing in this video, but I think I'm calling it a video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I'm clicking the button right now.